now I'm reverse aging, because that whole concept of it's one day at a time, it's one meal at a time, it's 1 hour at a time. You just have to keep going. It doesn't have to be, this is what's good for my body. Where it's like, oh, now you want me to do 6 sets of this? And like really heavy weight and not that many reps. And like,
all right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Fit Vegan Podcast. Today, I have one of my favorite guests back on the show for I think like the third or the fourth time. All right, welcome to the Fit Vegan Podcast. I'm your show host, Maxime Sigouin, and I'm the founder and CEO of Fit Vegan Coaching, a company that is on a mission to help 10,000 people get lean, thrive, and reduce their risk of chronic illnesses by 2033 and 1 million by 2050. I believe that having a fit, healthy body and mind is the foundation to living an incredible life, and this is what the show will give you if you choose to listen and implement. Enjoy the episode and have a great day. We have Dr. Jade, I think 4 times, because you've been in the program a few times now.
yeah, it's been a few.
Yeah, well, welcome back to the show. I think you're the most often recurring guest that we've had.
You know, I like that title. I'll keep it.
Yeah, you're tied in tight with Ivy, I think. I think you and Ivy are tied.
Well, she's amazing. I could listen to her riff all day, and like to see her integrated into your company has been so awesome.
Yeah, no, it's been fun working with her.
Yeah.
But yeah, today I want to talk about your journey because you're back in the program for another round. You got another incredible transformation. Mm-hmm. And so do you mind kind of just introducing yourself a little bit for maybe the people that are newer to the podcast and that don't know the famous Jade from, like, I think you joined like the second week that we started Fit Vegan over 4 years ago.
Wow. It was the second week. Yeah. Okay. So the rundown, Jade Deterro, Dr. Jade Deterro. I live in Kelowna, BC in Canada. I am trained in family medicine and I work as a hospitalist here. I run the family medicine program here through University of British Columbia. I'm also American board certified in lifestyle medicine, and all of my subspecialty, I should say, is nutrition now. I'm a mom of 2 kids. So my daughter.
So you're saying your daughter is 7, and she was about like 3 when you started the first time.
Yeah. And then since then, like my journey's been a long one. So to make it short-winded instead of long-winded, in the meantime of that space where I started the program to where I am now, I ended up with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. I had a miscarriage during it. I underwent radiation. And then I got pregnant with my son, who now just turned 2. And then in the meantime, I do a lot of climate change environmentalist work and hang out with my husband and go camping and run half marathons. And I'm turning 40 in September. So all of this while working full time.
So basically, you're a badass that's very resilient.
Ooh, yeah, that's like one of the top words to describe me. Stubborn, very independent. I'm not afraid to put myself out there. Like when it comes to being vocal about things, my work, but also like pushing myself and putting myself out there when it comes to being healthy. So that was the appeal with your program. I was like, hey, I need to push the limits. I need accountability. So I came to you, and then came back, and then again.
Yeah. I love to dive into those times because the people listening, usually we tell people like once you're done the program, like you're good to go.
Oh, yeah.
But people understand like, hey, you had a baby, like life happens. There's just several things that kind of came up. They're like, you know what, I kind of need to, I think at one point you used the words like get realigned, kind of just get back on track. So let's go over, I think this is like your 3rd or 4th time in the program. So after you had like there was 3 big life things that kind of made you come back after. Mm-hmm. So like, what was the original reason you came in, and what was kind of the results that you saw the first time?
Yeah. So the original was I had a young child at home. I gained 50 pounds with that pregnancy, and I hit a stalemate with losing the weight. And I was just starting to dive into lifestyle medicine and nutrition, so I had a lot of knowledge. I've also been an active person my whole life, like competitive swimming, point ballet, played soccer, lifted weights since high school. But I didn't have the right recipe for success. And the only times previously where I had really dialed in and lost weight and got to where I wanted to was through a lot of bad habits that a lot of people know, like restrictive eating, over-exercising, and a lot of that stemming from my poor body image and self-image from when I was younger. And I didn't want to do that again. Like, I don't want to torture myself. I want to be healthy. And I wanted to do it to model that for my daughter then, and to practice what I preach to my patients, because I'm going through this journey of like, I've been vegetarian my whole life pretty much. And then I became vegan. And then I was like, okay, and now I'm in lifestyle medicine. So like, it was just this whole like, how do I up level that? How do I get healthy and back in shape a bit? And then the bonus was the stuff I learned from you. I was able to pass that off to a lot of my patients. So you had this ripple effect of helping a lot of people. So that was the first time where I was like, I need somebody. And I think it was Matt Negra, a naturopath in Vancouver.
Yeah, I think it was from Matt that we kind of heard about each other.
And you were new, like your program was new. And
yeah, you literally, like I said, you're in the second group that we started ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like it felt like you knew what you were doing. That's the thing, is like you have a lot of life experience for being a little bit younger than me, but you knew the secret sauce, like the recipe for success.
Yeah. Well, I had done a few transformations myself, and
Yeah.
I already had helped a lot of people. It just wasn't under like the Fit Vegan brand. But now, honestly, it's crazy because we've been friends for that long and we haven't met in person. Like we haven't met yet. Like Jade and I are like really good friends, but we've had like several opportunities. Like, oh, maybe in Squamish at the workshop. I was going to go to Planted Expo in Vancouver, and there was you were running the BMO marathon as well, or the half marathon, and it just never ended up happening. So at one point we will meet. Hopefully this is the year.
I swear this is the year, because like there's something so symbolic about turning 40, right? Like our societal construct of age. I mean, whatever. To me, it's like now I'm reverse aging because I'm adopted such a healthy lifestyle. But regardless, I'm like hitting milestones, reflecting on my year, you know, what I've done in my life so far and where I want to go. So it's like Planted Expos on my list and finding you and getting to one of your get-togethers for all the fit vegan people. Because, yeah, we need to see each other in person. Like, I didn't even know that you were tall until you said it on social media, right? Because I'd never seen you in person. I was like, what? He's really that tall?
Yeah, I'm a giant. When when members meet me in person, they're like, "I knew you were tall, but like not like that tall." Like I'm more an athletic body type, so it makes me look even taller than if I was stocky. But yeah, I'm 6'4" for the people listening. Yeah, I'm up there.
Well, I mean, you dunk if you can like touch the basket and dunk the ball, it's saying something. You don't like,
yeah. What was funny about that is I couldn't do that in my 20s. Like in when I was in college and I was playing, I couldn't do that. And then now in my 30s, I just tried and I was like, where was this 10 years ago? I would have a different career for basketball if I could have jumped that high back then.
I know, right? It's like the versions of ourselves now. Like I wish 20-something-year-old Jade would have known how to look after herself from a health perspective.
Yeah.
Because it was just like I feel better now than I ever had in my adulthood. And like we can get into it later, but I mean, like look at me. Coach Sarah helped me train for the half marathon this year, which was probably like my 5th or 6th one I've ran, and hit a personal best. And I'm probably going to do it again in September when I run the next one, hopefully.
Yeah. What was your time for the last one? Just so we publicly have it recorded so you can beat it next time.
Oh, yeah, right. So it was like 157 something. I don't know.
Nice.
I'm like in the 157s. But in my 20s, it was like 215, 219, and I hurt doing it. And didn't know a thing about running, didn't even have proper running shoes. I was kind of, right, you're young and like, well, I could just do this. And then when I started being a bit more serious about it, I still couldn't break 2 hours. And then last year, when my son was a year, I was like 203. And I'm like, oh, I can get under 2. And now I'm like, I can get down to like 150. I'm an hour 50.
Well, I'm excited to see that. Maybe next year, if I'm able to go back in Canada, I'll run a half. I'm not doing a full, but I'll run a half.
I have no desire to ever do a full, but the half
Yeah.
marathon thing is fun. I ended up running two in May within 20 days of each other, and I usually am like a one a year person. So even that, like just the training from doing the program again and then being able to do that was awesome.
Yeah. So I want to ask you, obviously there's three other times that I kind of want to go over
Yeah,
what
yeah,
made you come back,
yeah.
but I think like a big theme that I'm hoping people are noticing is that you're busy. There's a lot happening. And so, throughout all the times that you've been in the program, you've done your transformations and you've, dealt with life challenges, with career, with kids, with family and travels, how do you manage to kind of get all of these things done?
Yeah, and I'm not the expert when it comes to being efficient. Like I desire to be like you, where I can wake up early in the morning and do deep work and like accomplish
Well,
things.
hey, let me give you props. I don't have kids.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
I run my own company from home with my wife. That's all. And we work out. That's all we have.
which is pretty sweet. And you do work hard. So, um, I I just think about like what's a priority and try to make it happen. I'm definitely not perfect, and I had a quite a bad jag recently where I worked a lot. So like just for context, my hospitalist job, I'm only a 0.75, which means 19 weeks a year, which sounds like nothing, but they are full 7 days in the week, 10 hours a day, but we're often short. So they're like 12, 13-hour days. I may not be at the hospital the
Yeah.
whole time, but I'm on call for 7 days straight. Sometimes we get into a spot where we work 9 days in a row like that. It's not great. Plus, my site director job is 2 days a week. Plus, I do some end of life hospice care. I failed to mention that. Um, yeah, and then this kind of stuff. I've let social media go by the wayside because I'm like, that's not a priority. So I think I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
work, but my kids, and you know, I have a dog who's 10 who has cancer that I'm looking after, and my own health. But like the bottom line is, if I'm not healthy, the house of cards tumbles. Nothing
Yeah.
happens. I have to be healthy, and I know that not only in like a general fundamental, like that's what humans need to do, but like my own personal story is that I got diagnosed with an autoimmune disease in my 20s, and I mentioned this on previous podcasts, and stress flares it. And so like the pandemic hit, I was working the front lines, I got stressed out, my autoimmune disease flared. Next thing you know, one of the growths on my body turned into cancer. So like it's like I know. And so how do I be healthy?
Mhm.
Well, I need exercise, I need sleep, I need meditation, whole food, plant predominant diet.
And so how do you make the decision of like, I'm going to work out today, or I didn't have time to meal prep and I have to make a decision when it comes to eating food? Because you obviously have to eat, when you're in a hurry. So like, how do you make a decision of, okay, if my week is hectic, you're on call, you're working 12, 13 hours a day for 7 days in a row. How do you make decisions of when to fit your workout and how do you make that work? And then for the food, if you don't have any meal prep, like how do you deal with that?
Yeah. I always find the workouts easier to fit in because I crave them. So it's just like whenever. And I mean, yeah, I throughout the program, there have been a lot of times where I've either woken up early, which I don't like doing. That's just my preference. If I wake up early, I want to go meditate, drink my coffee, and like, you know, do
Take your
some of that
time.
rest. But yeah, like late at night, I would go, and even if it wasn't optimal for lifting as heavy as possible, I'd just do it. And usually I get a surge of
Yeah.
energy while rocking it, and then I do a nice stretch and meditation after and be ready for bed. The runs like after work, you know, I would just like bring my clothes with me straight to the hospital and bang out like a 5K and then go home and shower and see my family. Like if I had to squeeze it in, I had to. Um, Meal prep though, it's like a, in a perfect world, it's twice a week and you're organized, but I'm also feeding three other people in the house. Bless my husband's heart, he's not as great of a cook. So it's like steamed broccoli and tofu or vegan chicken fingers with some brown rice or whatever, which is great. Um,
Yeah.
But yeah,
He's like
it'd be
me.
a lot of it'd be on the fly. Like I'd always have breakfast dialed in. You know, it's easy to do like overnight oats and like whip up a smoothie. I, but I've done the program enough, and we were talking about this earlier, that I would get local company, Sorella Vegan Eats. Like, thank you, shout out to them in the Okanagan. But like breakfast burritos and bowls that had all the same macros, right? So I'd be like rocking my quinoa, kale, sweet potato, tofu, cauliflower bowl with like the tahini sauce, and I'd just be like, okay, this is similar to what was on the meal plan, and do my best and just choose wisely, right? Like my lunch bag is always stocked with like fruit and veggies that I can just snack on if I need to.
Yeah. So I think like the meal delivery service is a good idea for a lot of people. Like there's one in the States. It's called Whole Harvest, and they kind of do all of the states. I haven't found one that does all of Canada. So you kind of have to go like unique to Vancouver, or
Yeah.
unique to Kelowna, or kind of unique to smaller towns in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for the workouts, I think that's like it perfectly illustrates the fact that you don't it'll never be 100% perfect, but you doing that workout late at night, even though you know you won't be able to lift as heavy,
Mm-hmm.
still is producing changes in your body, even though you're not like the most rested, the most amount of energy, and you know you're about to go to bed pretty much. Like that compounded over time is what allow you to get great transformations every single time. Because if you would have waited for you to have time, I don't think nothing would have happened ultimately.
Yeah, it's like waiting, signing up to this program when there's the perfect time. There isn't. And I think the three different times that I've been in it have all had unique challenges. And, you know, sleep deprivation with young kids.
I
Like,
remember your check-ins.
yeah, yeah, so much of like, my son's not sleeping. I mean, I was still breastfeeding Reed when I started this particular one and had a trip thrown into Costa Rica, like right near the beginning. But yeah, it's something is better than nothing. And you have to build the habit. So, like, you just have to fit the stuff in. And the other thing is, like, it doesn't have to be elaborate. The nice thing about your meal plans was you'd get comfortable seeing what certain things were. And I know in the beginning we did a lot of tweaking, like the first time I did the program, where it's like, hey, what are your food preferences? And I'm like, honestly, you know, the easiest is if I ate like the same thing 3 or 4 nights in a row. Like, just like,
Yeah.
I could eat the same thing for half a week and the same thing, exact same meals for another half a week. And that's what I would go down to if I had to. So it would be like, okay, I'm gonna eat the same overnight oats every single morning at work, and my lunch is going to be the exact same. And then dinner, I just have brown rice and tofu and broccoli and put a little soy sauce, and I'm good.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. People over complexify the nutrition and they want to make it fancy every night.
Yeah.
Like, I posted in my stories yesterday, but I had like a, plant, Rip has little plant strong boxes of like chili.
Mm-hmm.
So I warmed one of those up with like brown rice and literally I just ate that. And it took me, 5 minutes and I was eating. On the other hand, I got clients that want to eat something different pretty much every meal. They get bored. And you know what they did? They hired a private chef to have a private chef at their house to cook for their family. I'm like, that's pretty much the only way you're going to do it. Or if you're retired and you have a lot of time to cook your
Yeah.
meals. But if you're busy, you need to eat simple meals. You're not going to eat like you ever in the Crossroads in the
Oh
States,
yeah.
the
Yeah.
vegan
Yeah.
restaurant?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not going to eat like a Crossroads meal. Like it's like a vegan fancy restaurant, but you're not going to eat that every single meal, right? It's going to be
Yeah.
way too complex for you to put
Yeah. And,
together.
and that's the thing is, like, I am a foodie. I absolutely love food. I love good food, which common misconception with everybody that eating vegan has to be boring with brown rice and tofu and broccoli. It's like, no, first of all,
I like
that
it.
can be really tasty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sesame seeds, drizzle a little, whatever. You can do all sorts of stuff with that. But like, we also eat very plain things in our house, just out of convenience and normal stuff, right? Like, we had the vegan burger and make tacos, right? And just put a ton of veggies in and whatever. It doesn't need to be elaborate. And the best part, like the really awesome part about the program is that, like, I out of convenience, I couldn't make different meals for my kids and my husband. And so they'd just be rocking what I was rocking. We watch these two little kids make healthy choices and their palates expand and just gnaw on steamed broccoli, and you just go, yay, like I'm laying a really good foundation. And then
Yeah.
there's more conversations about like, well, why does mom have to go down in the gym after we go to bed? And so I can be strong enough to be healthy and carry you and play with you and go hike and live till I'm 119. And
Yeah. So I'm curious how actually that's affected your daughter, because yeah, it was, almost over 4 years ago that you've kind of been working out consistently. Have you seen like a change in her behavior or her understanding that like, oh, this is mommy time to exercise, or does she come with the gym? Because I know you have your gym downstairs. I think it's downstairs in your house, right?
yeah,
So I know you
yeah.
work out at home.
We bought this house 3 years ago. Oh, whoa, almost 4 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, you moved in not too long after the program, after you started.
hmm Yeah, and so had a gym in it, which is actually a bonus. It's convenient. I loved my other gym, but driving 20 minutes made no sense. It's convenient, but my kids get to go down there and work out with me. Um, our daughter ended up showing a keen interest in gymnastics, and Jeff would be showing her how to do chin-ups in there, and then we noticed her swinging on the bars and practicing balancing on his workout bench. So we signed her up,
Nice.
and within a year, they asked her to join the competitive program, and now she's full throttle. So it's like she has to work out for her little competitive, gymnastics at that age. But
Yeah.
my son's like 2, and he's pretending to do push-ups with me, and he's letting me hold him while I do squats, because sometimes that's just what you have to do when they want your attention. But they
Yeah,
they
yeah.
know
They become your
sometimes I have
weights.
to go by myself. But yeah, they run with me. Sienna biked almost 10K the one day, and I just ran. And
Yeah.
a ton of my training has been with Reed pushing him in a stroller, which I must say, like if people want some sort of competitive advantage, train pushing a running stroller with like a 30-pound child in it, and then when you go to run your race, it's so easy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, because I've noticed that with a few parents is that the kids start to kind of model what the parents are doing, right? In terms of same movement, and they start doing lunges and trying to do pull-ups and
hmm
trying to do bicep curls. I think it's so cute. I think it's so funny to see them like grab the little weights and kind of start to exercise.
It's awesome. I know that the early years are important, and I know we're building the foundation, and um, I know it's hard because it's such a big part of my life, right? Like being somebody who's
Yeah.
certified in lifestyle medicine, and my area of interest is nutrition, and I'm a doctor. Like there's so much health speak in the house, so it's trying not to make it super serious, make it fun, make it a normal part of life. Like it's exercising can be playful even when they're not around. I'm still like bebopping to all my old tunes from when I was in my 20s, and but
Those are the best music to work out to.
I'm so embarrassing, and I don't even care about the music I listen to. Like to the point where our daughter got interested in Kesha. Like, okay,
Yeah.
but and like Nelly and Pitbull, and yeah, but I don't. It's what that's my secret to making it work when I have to go down there at 9 p.m. and crank out a workout, or I'm with my kids down there, and they're going to ask for Taylor Swift or whatever. But it's
Yeah.
nice to build the habits with them when they're young, get them in it. I mean, they sabotage. It's hard sometimes to get a workout done, but that's one of those. At least I've done something, and
Yeah.
if I really am insistent on getting this done, like I'll finish it later. Like I've started it, and then I'll finish it later. And I've had to do that, like stop and start workouts because of them. So you gotta let things
Yeah.
slide sometimes.
Yeah, well, you do what you have to do. Doing something and starting and stopping is better than not doing any of it at all.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and it's obviously
So,
working because I'm way stronger than I was.
yeah, faster, stronger, leaner. Um,
Mm-hmm.
what the second time you came into the program, when you came back, was that when was that part? Because I know there's like several big moments in your story.
Yeah, yeah. So that was
I think is like
2022,
I think it
was
was
it?
I think it was like post miscarriage before cancer. I think that was kind of the moment.
I think it was after I went through radiation and the miscarriage.
Okay.
Yep, because it was before I was pregnant with Reed, and it was just this short little stint. And I think it was more mental than physical at that point because when I was unwell, I was already relatively small bodied, and
Yeah.
but I just didn't feel like I didn't feel good. Um, I felt broken at that point, and I just was trying to do whatever I could to get back to myself and build healthy habits again. Like, so that was part of it. Confidence, right? Getting stronger, and it worked. Like it totally worked. I felt great. Yeah, I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
that's the timeline. I just remember coming in being like, I need to get back to this. I need to get back.
So I wanted to ask, like, how do you get yourself to go through some of these hard things? And it kind of sounds from your answer that eating healthier and kind of getting back into exercise is kind of the way for you to do that.
Yeah, yeah. The basic habits are important. I mean, it's always more than that too, right? I find I need humor and sunshine and a lot of outdoor time. Like that's very healing for me. There is nothing better than waking up in the morning, going and having like my little lemon water and my coffee and sitting, crisscross applesauce on my grass. And we live on a canyon and have a little lake view. And I just get to look at the canyon and the lake and the mountains, do my meditation, feel the sun on me, go inside. The sun wakes up, we have a giggle, we jump on the trampoline and like dance party. That kind of stuff needs to be a part of it. But I know that like with my job, with my schedule, with the pressure I put on myself, with all the change I hope to bring in the world, the influence I wish to have, I can't do that if I don't have any stamina or energy. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, the self care is, yeah, it's important.
So how do you find that balance? Because you're just like me, where if you're given a plate of a certain size, you'll find a way to overload it, and then it starts to overflow, and you're like, I magically got this second plate that I can start loading, and you tend to put a lot of things on your plate. So how do you manage your desire to want to serve and help, but at the same time still be able to take care of yourself, spend time with your kids, spend time with your husband?
It's the whole saying, like every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. So what are you saying no to? And a lot of times it was no to my husband or no to extra time with my kids or no to time with me. That's the biggest thing. I think
Yeah.
I still sacrifice some solitude and time, like reading novels, right? I would sacrifice that. That's kind of a bummer. Then you like next thing you know, you see me like trying to meal prep and talk to my kids and pet the dog all while I'm listening to an audiobook on like 2 times speed. Like that's just not a way to live. So I think I've gotten better in my older age of just boundaries. Boundaries. It's like it's my new favorite word. Uh, Besides no, I've had to push back. Like at one point, I sat on 3 different boards, and they'd often have meetings in the evenings. And like one was for a wonderful animal rescue, one was for the Factory Farming Awareness Coalition that changed their names to New Roots Institute. And then I was also on a board for the family practice here, plus all my jobs that I'm still doing.
Yeah.
And being a mom, not sustainable. So I just started saying no. But the other thing too is like humans have this perverse desire to be on meetings all the time and more emails and more meetings and more no. So with my jobs, a lot of what I've had to do is just say that's not relevant to me. Thanks, but no thanks. I don't think this needs to be a
Yeah.
meeting. I'm not available. Well, what about next week? No, I mean like indefinitely not available for this particular
I definitely don't want to jump on
meeting.
this meeting with you.
Yeah. Or that's, you're putting this task on me, but unfortunately it's not actually my job. So yeah, putting your foot down and boundaries. And again, like the things I do, I know my kids are watching. I know everybody's
Yeah.
watching, right? Like I had friends reaching out being like, are you okay? At quite a few points in my life because they were seeing I had no boundaries and I was just trying to save the world. So
Yeah.
yeah, focusing on a couple key things and having good influence there, right, is worth more than spreading yourself thin and trying to have a little bit of influence in a lot of different things.
Yeah. I feel like parents and people that have a caregiving type of energy that tend to put other people first will have that kind of that a little bit of that savior type of mentality, right? That savior and like, well, if I say no, no one's going to help them. Like,
Mm-hmm.
don't worry. If you say no, they'll go ask someone else. And that other person that has no boundary will say yes and will get the job done. And so I think it's great to have boundaries. It is, especially for meetings and emails. Like my whole team knows I'm not going to talk to any of you until afternoon. All morning, I'm working on stuff. I don't want to be distracted. I'm not going to take any meetings. We canceled a bunch of our meetings, and I made 15-minute micro meetings with each department. I was like, tell me the thing, we solved the thing, we're out. Go work on something, go work on something else. Because yeah, some people's like, we need to talk for an hour about this. I'm like, no, we don't. I got podcasts to record with Jade. I can't talk about this for an hour.
Yeah, I'm the same way now. It's become as soon as I enter, it's like, okay, we have 15 minutes. I think I again, there's this notion with more meetings, but also coupled with that is this idea that if somebody, it's rude to be efficient to some people, and I just find that mind-boggling. Like I'm a very to the point. Like I chair meetings all the time. In fact, we were doing monthly meetings for my site director work, and we all had this revelation that we're like, you know what? Like even though we're right to the point, we get down to business. Like why are we doing it monthly? Who told us we had to do that? Can we change it? Let's
Yeah.
change it 4 times a year. I love this, and I feel like I'm seeing a collective shift with a lot of people to go towards that. And I'm like, sweet, maybe I'm part of the positive influence of getting away from that, because we need time to go and just be, and like even as adults, let our imaginations run wild and let our brains shut off and not always be grinding. So that's why I'm obsessed with being outside and just frolicking with the butterflies and looking at the clouds and what shape is that. But again, it's like I have to have that foundation of health under all of this in order to
Yeah.
because it's very hard to set boundaries when you don't feel well either, right?
Yeah.
I've, I've,
If you feel bloated, you eat shit food, borderline depressed, anxious, yeah, you just say yes to everything. I don't know what it is, but you have an inability to say no to other things when you don't feel good.
and so in what is also part of my story, because right, there's many waves that we've ridden here as I've gone from first, second, third time in the program, whatever, is that this year, finally, at age 39, I was formally diagnosed with ADHD and treated. And so, part of me saying yes was also dopamine, right? Like every time I say yes, it's like
Yeah.
gratification and dopamine. I know it is for a lot of people. You say yes, you feel wanted, you feel included. But it was because in the background, if I actually stopped, I couldn't sit still. And then it was just turmoil. I was like a turtle who was flipped over on its back and spinning and spinning, So
Yeah.
I, getting diagnosed and looking back in my childhood and being like, wow, yeah, wow. I wish I would have known. That's helped a lot. And it's helped with my focus when it comes to working out and running, laser focus now when I run. And that's because
Yeah.
it's not enhancement with drugs. It's oh wow, my brain is where it's supposed to be now. And so I've been able to work on the habits, but be properly treated for it.
Yeah. That's awesome because I got diagnosed too when I was younger. And then they want to give me, I think it was Ritalin or something. And then I was like, I never liked pills. So I was like, I don't want them. And now being in business and managing people, I literally have a post-it on my computer that says, focus on one thing at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I make sure that I have one tab open on my computer and I work on this, and I cannot move to anything else until I'm done the thing. And I move, because if not, I got 10 tabs open. My brain is doing 10 tasks at the same time. I'm trying to book a podcast, prep for one.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I get it. I'm happy you kind of narrowed it down because I was actually wanting to bring this up as you're talking about setting boundaries and all that. Have you heard of Cal Newport before?
Mm, I don't think so. Although I'm more of like a faces and voice person. So like maybe if I saw.
Yeah, I would look into him. I have his book there, but I don't have his face in there. But he wrote Digital Minimalism. He wrote the book Deep Work. He wrote another book called Slow Productivity.
Okay.
That's the latest one that I read when I was on my digital detox for 7 days in New York.
Okay.
It was so good. I read it in 2 days. And basically, there was like three core principles. And I'm probably going to forget them now that I have to mention them.
Just on the
But
spot.
it was like do less things, work at a natural pace, and obsess over quality.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
he he gave examples from like if you work for yourself or if you have a job, exactly what you said, like, no, this is not a part of my task. I will not be on this meeting. I will not take this on. If you want me to take this on, here's all the list of things I'm working on. Which one do you want me to not work on so I can work on this thing?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of great tips, but basically what you shared was related to that. So a great book for you to look into if you want to listen to like an Audible or something. It's a really,
Oh
really
yeah.
powerful book about boundaries in work.
Yeah. Okay. I'm 100% going to like the typical fashion, right? I need to remember it. So as you're saying it, I quickly like opened the next tab, which by the way, I have 30, which is better than the 100 I used to have. But and then quickly punched his name into Google, so it's there. And that very much sounds like the direction I'm going in because I mean, Dr. Gabor Mate, I read a lot of his books, Scattered Minds.
Yeah.
I could barely get through it though because I was so scattered. But what really resonated with me was he was also doctor, highly ambitious, would like hyperfixate on his work, trying to change everybody. But that those traits of his ADHD that weren't diagnosed, that were like maybe a gift to medicine, were a detriment to his family. And so he spent a lot of
Yeah.
his children's adulthood like repairing and working on those relationships. And you know, like we're none of us are perfect and you can't have regrets. And but it resonated with me. And my husband was very much like picking up the pieces for me for a lot of the years. And I don't want anybody to suffer from it. So like this whole journey for me, like this third time around in your program, third, fourth, it's been great because I feel like it's all wrapped up so nicely now.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people that I'm talking with that are more in the realm of just described as high performers, I think a lot of them are coming to this conclusion or realization as they kind of progress in their life of like simplicity and
Yes.
focus. And it's been so cool to kind of watch everyone get there, but through different means and through different experiences. Um, it feels phenomenal, right? Once you're like, I'm really going to simplify my life, I'm going to do less, I'm going to obsess over quality, I'm going to work at a natural pace, meaning we both know we could work 14 hours a day every day, but it's like, well, I don't have time with my partner. I don't have time to speak to my family. I don't have time to just go outside and read a book in the sun. And so like
Mm-hmm.
taking time to exercise, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, no, I got to work. I said yes to all of these people. I got to do this, no boundaries. And it's just this very complex life that they don't know how to navigate. And like, I don't have time to meal prep. I don't have time to cook. I don't have time to exercise.
Mm-hmm. Totally. And yeah, like most of us know what we have to do, unless you're like really deep into like the carnivore and drifter influencers and
Yeah.
Instagram, and then like where you've lost your way, friend, and we need to help get you back. But like most people know what you need to do, and so for me, it's like I also knew what I needed to do, but the realigning, the joining back with your program, it's like, okay, sweet. Well, like these are non-negotiables, and now that it's on there, and I have to ticky box, and I have to check in with one of you every week is great because it just hits the reset button. It reminds me how much I enjoy having the regular routine, but there's like a simplicity to it, right? It's like, did you meditate today? Did you read a book for a couple minutes? Like the fact that that was part of my to-dos was like, oh yeah, I gotta go find time to enjoy reading, which is good. And not while you're
Yeah.
on your bike warming up before you do your strength training. Like just so this, I think multitasking has become a swear to me, busy has become a swear. I've totally changed things. I'm trying not to overplan. None of it. Except like goals. Like when's my next half marathon? When am I
Yeah, it's all good to have a sense of direction, right? Of like, we want to keep it simple, but work towards something
Mm-hmm.
versus just simplicity. I love to ask you some questions because before we started recording, we talked about, you being a part of the tribe for 4+ years now, and kind of seeing the different iterations of the programs and the group of people that kind of have gone through it. But before we talk about like the different iterations, I'm curious as to like how it was perceived from your side. What are some of the lessons that you've learned along those 4 years that you've kept and have now become a part of your life that weren't there before?
I can't remember exactly how you say it, but the whole like slow is smooth and smooth is fast thing.
That's exactly
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
right. And I think we've already talked about this, like that whole concept of it's just like it's one day at a time, it's one meal at a time, it's 1 hour at a time. Like don't you just have to keep going. It doesn't have to be perfect, and you just keep building. And the whole concept of like quick fixes and quick results, like it's not going to happen. And so that actually ties in beautifully with our whole thing about like um, ADHD and focusing on quality and one task at a time. And but that's you've had that mantra all along, and it's really stuck with me. Um, I've also learned to sink into things that annoy me and that I may not be excited about, right? Like I remember resisting so hard, and I've done it every single time I've rejoined, where it's like, oh, now you want me to do 6 sets of this and like really heavy weight and not that many reps. And like, I'm bored and I like supersetting and I don't like resting in between. So that's like where the music helps, and knowing that I'm going to make progress and that this is what's good for my body. So it's stuff like that where it's like, no, you got to listen to people who know more than you. And yeah, so those were a couple things that really stuck out. Um, and like the other thing, you haven't said it explicitly, but just like to join the program means that you have that community and accountability and like people who've got your back, whether it's the coaches or the other people. There's other people going through the same thing you are and in the same program. And that's huge for me, is to feel like you're part of the group, and not just when it comes
Yeah.
to fitness, but I think for me, why that resonates so much too is like, hello, I'm vegan and I have been for almost 6 years. And it can like, you can feel really alone doing anything, and
Yeah.
things can get really hard, and it can be easy to quit things or get dejected about them in any part of your life. So like having a group, having a community. So I think that was really important for me too.
Yeah. What what were some of the yeah, you literally saw the program through all the different iterations that we've made. Because yeah, that first and second week that we started very different. So I'm curious, like, what was your perception on your side of kind of how things progressed to where it is today? And the we could talk about the people after, but I'm curious as to
Yeah,
like what was your perception of the all of the
the
changes?
overall. And they've all kind of morphed. Like it's hard for me to even imagine what it was like in the first place. But I do remember, like I was saying earlier, this whole, I would say, oh, you know what, like I would rather have like more of a lower sugar kind of keto type of a thing, or I don't like sandwiches, or blah blah blah. And so like you would make these changes in the beginning, or I want the same meal, blah blah blah, or there's not enough variety. Like I did find that I'd be a little bit picky, but it was also because in the beginning there wasn't like a repository of a bunch of different recipes that you could go to, right? Like you were still building on that.
Yeah.
So that got easier when you're like, oh, okay, so there's this there's this whole section of recipes for lunch, and I can look at like the macros and the calories and just do a straight substitution. So like that got easier as time went on. Um, I've always like the group chats, right? Like they would always be active. The group calls, I found, you really evolved with the group, like the calls, right? So
Yeah.
you were able to bring in different people. I tried to do a couple. You would have waxing and waning like interest, but I know you were always trying to pivot to have group calls that were really impactful and powerful for people and different topics. Yeah, it's been like you were trying to make lots of shifts there, and then it was the tiers, right? Like I've always just stuck with like the tried and true, the first thing I did, right? You've pretty much just kept
Yeah.
me there, but I know that you've had increasing like levels depending on how much accountability people want, and
Yeah. We tried that for a while. That didn't work too well
yeah,
because it was funny. The more accountability people got, the less well they did because
interesting.
they were like, if no one's checking in on me, I'm not doing anything.
Mm,
Oh, yeah, that's not the point. The point is like you have an extra check-in together, right? To see if you're stuck or something. But then it was like a hand holding. So if they're like, I'm stressed today and I'm gonna eat a full pizza. Maxim's not calling me, I'm gonna eat the pizza. Like now you're putting it on me that you're eating a pizza. I'm like, that's not how this works. So we yeah, that was an interesting phase. We've tried we tried it, it didn't work that well.
yeah, yeah, and I can see that, and I part of your whole MO with the program is that you're teaching people a new way of, not even a new way, like just the ideal way to live, right? Like that's why you have stuff
Yeah.
like, did you meditate today? And have you read a book? And you ask about our sleep and stress and anything that's impacted you over the week. And it's not just nutrition and exercise, but your goal, you've always said, is like to have people walk away and have that foundation built and know, like, be healthier. You want to change people's lives. You want them to be healthier and prevent disease and prevent cancer. And you've got this perfect
Yeah.
foundation. And I feel like I need to go on the record here and say that, like, the reason I keep coming back is not because you failed at that, because you haven't. Like, you gave me the tools. I already had the tools. Like, let's be honest. Like, after the first time I went through the program, I didn't ever need to come back. Like, I'm a doctor. I have a nutrition background. I have lifestyle med. I know what to do. I've always been active. And then I had your blueprint of like what to do. But to me, I just liked it. It felt like home, and I felt like that's you. We're friends. Your community you've built is
Yeah.
my jam. Like I loved being immersed in it. I still do. I think it's great. So I'm on the record saying you do set people up for success, and I can see how like people being accountable 24/7 every meal, like they don't, it's like learned helplessness.
Yeah, for sure. And I appreciate you sharing that because I knew that when we mentioned it, I was gonna have you back on the show and record. I was like, oh man, are people gonna think that like we do a good job because Jade came on the program so many times? It's like, no, like life happens, man. Sometimes you lose the weight and you have a child and then you have weight to lose. We had another member that, had some major health problems, put on some weight from it, like just kind of like life or death type stuff. And then just came back, was like, hey, I had this happen and now like I need help losing the weight again. And just that accountability, that community was what made the difference. And so, yeah, to be fair, for the people listening, to me, it changes nothing. I know we're good at what we do, 800 plus transformation, 20 plus countries, 4+ years, right? So those are my bragging rights. We've done it often. So basically, yeah, if the program sucked, Jane would have came back a second time or a third time and, you would have went somewhere else ultimately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't. And now I'm like, okay, this is the thing about time elapsing, is I was like, how many times have I done the program? And like, to be fair, usually I would sit here and like pull that up on my phone, but my phone's not with me right now. But yeah, I did. It was after Sienna was born. It was after the cancer and the miscarriage. Then it was after Reed was born, and then this time. So it's been four.
Yeah. Four
Yeah.
times.
Because after Reed was born, I'd also gained 50 pounds, and it wasn't coming off as fast. And I knew that, like, when I went through it after Sienna, I was like, well, I know this is tried and true. So, like, I'm freaking tired. Like, why am I going to think this hard about being healthy when I immediately can get back in the program and have the accountability? And even though I'm sleep deprived, like, just do the thing. And yeah, I just remember like how appealing that was and how fast I ended up seeing results with that. And
Yeah.
just like, and the food, right? The food's a big thing. Like, you when you are tired and you are in new mom land, and then you have to go back to work when your kid is 5 months, like I couldn't think about like how to feed myself and be healthy and what workouts I should do. Like I just needed you to tell me and
Yeah.
just know that I'm going to be healthy enough to have energy to look after my kiddo.
Yeah. You made me think of a quote earlier about your whole mindset and approach to all of this, and kind of what you just shared right now. Um, it's going to be a broad sentence, but I want to dive into it. You know, you ever heard of winners win and losers lose before?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it's not necessarily that like you're either born a winner or not, or born a loser or not, but it's just the reason why winners win is because if they have that mindset to improve themselves and to be resilient and to find a way, no matter how uncomfortable, inconvenient it is, they always end up winning because they just keep showing up. And that's ultimately the secret, is you just kept showing up. Not all of your workouts were perfect. Not every day was perfect for nutrition, but guess what? You got great transformations every single time because you were resilient and you showed up. And when something was in the way, guess what? You find a way around it. And the losers lose is people are looking for reason for things not to work, versus winners are looking for things why they should work, and they always find a way through. And so I think that that mentality is what's allow you to have great success. And I'm only sharing this for the people listening that are always looking for a reason as to why things aren't working. Literally, if you're handed the same situation, you hand the same situation to Jade or to myself, guess what? We'd find a way, right? I went through some hard stuff. Jade went through some hard stuff. Most people that go through hard stuff find a way out. And so it's a mindset thing. It's a mentality thing. That's something that people could shift.
Mm-hmm. And we all have stuff. We all have stuff. And I mean, sure, like I'd piss and moan a bit. And I'd be like,
Oh, we all do. I did this morning.
never get my workout done. I'd be like, this oatmeal again. But no, you just do. You just do. And I don't
That
know.
should be the new slogan for Nike. Not just do it. You just do. That's a new slogan.
Just do. Yeah. Just go. Just be. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. Like I don't know how to explain it to people, but it's not optional. Like it can't be optional. And again, it's like you don't have to be working 4 jobs like me and raising 2 kids and trying to save the world and hope that everybody eats whole food, plant-based and looks after themselves. But like just whatever you, I don't know, just like optimize your life. Like honestly, life is so much better when you feel better, when you're healthier, truly. And the other thing is like, again, I see everything through the lens of being a parent, right? So now my vision has changed a bit, and like what you say you are or will become, right? So it's the whole like self-fulfilling prophecy, and that's part of that whole like winners are going to win. It's like I'm going to be healthy, and I'm teaching my kids that. Like, don't say I can't. Don't say, I'm not good at this. Like, just say I'm working on it and I'm improving and I'm going to get better and I'm going to rock this. Like, I'm going to rock it. That's like our little motto in our house. No, I mean, it's like, but yeah, and sometimes it doesn't rock when you do it, right? And it's kind of mediocre, but you're like, I still did it, still working there.
Yeah. Well, I think what you said, like basically you just do. It is literally that simple. That statement is basically, regardless of how you feel, regardless of your emotions, regardless of what's going on, you just do it because you need to do it, because you understand that that's the core foundation that's going to allow you to show up for everything else that you care about, right? Your family, your partner, your career. Like, yeah, like if I worked out, and I'm sure it's the same for you, if I worked out only when I wanted and I ate healthy only when I wanted, I'd probably weigh 350 pounds. I'm a foodie for sure. Like I'm
Oh yeah.
to a certain extent, I'm lazy. And I know people would be shocked by that, but I would be 350 pounds if I only worked out when I wanted to and I only ate healthy when I wanted to. Like I'd be a fluffy vegan, not a fit vegan. I'd be big.
I think you and I are both secretly fluffy vegans. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
There's
yeah,
like,
for sure. I could bulk up real fast if I wanted to.
yeah. Yeah. I love sinking into a couch where I almost like disappear into it, just binging some Netflix, and yeah, and there's so many good vegan
Oh yeah.
junk things that you can
Um,
eat, but I know at the end of the day I would feel like crap. So
for sure.
the other thing too is I was gonna totally give props to my very like determined and very black and white husband who he's a straight shooter, man. Like he just doesn't mince his words, and he'll just be like, "Just go. Like, what are you doing? Just go. You have to get it done." Like even with the whole like, just do it. Like, just go to bed. Like
Yeah.
that is my one true vice, right? Which is why I don't wake up well in the morning because I don't want to go to bed. I have my own
Yeah.
time now. I don't want to go to bed. I want to read this book. I want to do this thing.
So for the people listening, I burnt out my camera, so we don't have visual anymore. So we're just going to continue with audio for the rest of the podcast. So thank you guys for the support. I gotta find a way to cool out this camera. Yeah. So you're saying your husband is black and white in terms of like, just go to the gym, just go to bed, just do it.
Yep, to the point where it's annoying, right? Because I'm like I have excuses, and there's a very good reason why I'm not going to go to bed right now. It's like it's not a good enough reason to be tired in the morning and not do the things you want to do in the morning. And yeah, so I have to give him credit because even though I'm all like, yeah, just do it, just do the thing. Um, I, a lot of the reason I've become that way is because he's just drilled it in me, and I think I like have it deep down inside. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been stubborn enough to become a doctor and go through all of that training. Because a lot of that
For
training is
sure.
just like, too bad, so sad, keep going. Like you having a bad day, it doesn't matter. It's that you got to go talk to that dying patient right now about their thing, and then you just have to go and see the next person. So just do it. So I know I have that mentality, but like when it came to my foundational habits, there's a very annoying but lovely person in the background just going, just quit with the excuses, just go.
Well, I think we tend to over dramatize some of the actions that we need to take.
Everything, we over
Right.
dramatize everything.
Yeah. It's like, oh, it's gonna be so scary, or it's gonna be so hard to do that. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
but what if you like, to me, it's harder to be overweight than to be fit. I don't know for you, but my muscles being sore hurts less than when I was 240 pounds and I had a beer belly and I had breast. Uh, you know, I did drink beer, but I had a pretty big gut. But yeah, like that hurt more than like being sore from a workout and being tired from training in the morning. So I'm sure for you, it's kind of something similar. It again, you've experienced like a each range of the spectrum with your health, right? With the
Mm-hmm.
autoimmune and the cancer and kind of like being super healthy and being in shape. I'm just gonna imagine that it sucks more to be unhealthy than it is to trying to do all the things necessary for you to be healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I want to point out that when it comes to things like weight, and I know there's a lot of stigma, like different size bodies, and everybody feels great at different places. So this is like a very personal thing for me because I know a lot of people who the BMI can be a bit of a crapshoot, right? And they're above the range of where it would be considered normal weight in the BMI, but like they're at the fittest ever and they feel great. And just because they wear like a size 16 or whatever, like they're very in shape. For me, extra weight unfortunately means like it's very hard on my joints. So I have severe osteoarthritis in my left knee. I've had 4 knee surgeries. I don't have a functioning ACL. I barely have any of my medial meniscus left. And the last MRI, I had bone marrow edema because it was so inflamed. I
Yeah.
couldn't even do 2 flights of stairs at one point. So I know that I have to reduce the load on there with my autoimmune disease when it flares. A lot of it it is stress, but it's also like it's a direct cause and effect with a lot of the things I eat. So very pro-inflammatory, deep fried things. If I drink any alcohol, if I don't get enough sleep, right? Like everything in that spectrum, I see it almost immediately where a lot of people don't. And so having extra weight on top of like a reactive arthritis, on top of being tired, I can't like, I don't, yeah. when I am not in a healthy spot with my physical body, whether it's the shape, how much muscle I have, how much weight I'm carrying, whatever. But like, I don't feel good. And then I can't be my best self as a mom or a doctor or whatever, which is part of what led me like the fourth time back was that, I had lost all that weight after having Reed with the third time in the program. And then
Yeah.
I did the whole like, why I'm falling into bad habits again. And I just got in like a really bad headspace with work and being burnt out and kind of like, eat the vegan Big Mac. And I just kind of said, okay, that's enough of that. Like, that's enough. You don't feel good. You know what to do. Go back to your community. Like, you're turning 40. Why don't you try and be in the best shape ever? And what do you want to accomplish with this milestone? And it was like half marathons and being my fittest yet and like reverse aging and feeling younger. And so I went there and did it, and I'm doing it.
Yeah, and you're still going strong. I know you're done the program now. You're done your other round of the program. So, but I know you. I know you're going to continue the habits after. And I'd love to ask you this question because I think you're the person that has the most experience through our Fit Vegan program throughout the years. The other one would be my mom. She started 1 week before you, so she kind of got you beat by 1 week.
She's such an inspiration, by the way. Like, I love anytime you post anything about your mom. I'm like, she's amazing.
She's a beast. She's still going. Like, she even has more of a six pack now. She has more muscle. Like, every time I see her, she's just more jacked every time. Yeah, she's embarrassing my dad now at this point. My dad needs to get his shit together. I'm trying to get him on the program. It just as a side note, parents are so funny because I told my dad, like, hey, we're over 800 transformations. We've coached 50 plus doctors. So like, people that have studied this for a living, we've helped them transform, plus 800 people, plus we have doctors referring patients, plus I'm speaking on stage, plus I'm connected with all these health experts. He's like, yeah, but I don't know if I believe you yet. I don't know if I'm ready. I'm like, what are you talking about? I have all the health experts on my side. I'm like, yeah. So eventually I'll get him.
I hope you do. I know I've watched my parents make some small changes over time. I'd love for them to like dive further, but you know what? We are not our parents, and all we can do is influence them a little bit. And yeah, I totally get it. And if my parents listen to this, I totally love everything you've done so far. Keep going though. Keep going. Doesn't matter how old you are. You can always change, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. We have members in their 80s in the program,
So
that are
awesome.
changing their habits that's like decades of doing the wrong thing or practicing bad habits. One thing you mentioned earlier is kind of leading example for your kids and all that. And I'm currently reading this book on relationship because I'm always trying to optimize myself. So I'm like, how could I have an even better relationship with Hy-Vee? And one of the questions in that book was, if your son was to date a woman like you, those are from the perspective of a woman, would you be happy about it? And in that example, the woman was being really nasty to her husband. And she's like, oh my God, no, I would never let my son be that with someone like me if it treat her that way. And I kind of woke her up. But I think from a health and fitness standpoint is the same. Like, would you let your daughter or your son treat themselves the way that you treat yourself? The way that you talk to yourself, the way that you don't prioritize your exercise, don't prioritize your health. Like, would you be happy that your kids would treat themselves that way, the way that you're treating yourself? If the answer is no, you probably need to change what you're doing. Right?
It's so deep, right? Because we have all hope for the best for our children. And I think like that's probably the base of why I keep doing this, is because I think I model behavior that I would want them to have as adults and that I would want their significant others to have as adults. And I hope they pick somebody who prioritizes their health and their mental health and their wellness, and that they do the same. And I am not perfect, and I get impatient, and I get snappy, and sometimes I still have to work on my communication skills, and sometimes I still need to make myself go to bed earlier.
We all do.
but yeah, like, right. Like yeah, it's nice to be able to sit here. There's, there's a poem called The Man in the Mirror,
I've
right?
heard of
Yeah.
that.
I don't know. Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. It's like, if you look at the man in the mirror, the person in the mirror, like, you know, are you happy? It's like, yeah, I am. And I'd be super happy if my kids are, I hope they're like me when
Yeah.
they grow up. Like, truly, that's why we're like, let's take the dog for a walk and let's ride our bikes and let's go camping. I made them go in a canoe with me for 3 hours this past week when we went camping. And even though neither one of them could really paddle, they were like, can I try it? I'm like, yes, because I want to have them embrace this life.
Yeah. Again, that goes far beyond one's transformation, but it is true. Like for me, I would never be with someone that doesn't work out or doesn't eat healthy. Not because of physical appearance, but because like it's a big part of my life. What are you going to do when I go to the gym? Like when I want to eat a
Mm-hmm.
Buddha bowl, you're not going to like, I'm not going to be with someone that's going to, order Burger King or pizza. Like that just wouldn't work for me. My standards are too high for that. And so if you exercise, you're going to be attracted to and attract someone that has similar values. And I've seen this often throughout the years. We have like a wife come into the program and her husband like drinking beer, pizza every night, kind of like both they met when they're both had unhealthy habit and she's trying to change and the husband is like talking down to her because she's changing and he doesn't want to change. Like that's a tough dynamic to go through. So, if you're single right now, beginning of a relationship, like start exercising, taking care of yourself because that kind of shapes the future of your relationship because not every partner is going to want to change with you if you want to be healthy and kind of change what you're eating. And unfortunately, some women just revert back to drinking beer and eating pizza because the husband doesn't want to change and it's just easier to not fight it.
Yep, I've seen it with patients when I've been practicing lifestyle medicine, and my biggest takeaway from that is, and I tell people, it's like, why would you compromise who you are at all? Like, just if being healthy is important to you, that's a core value. Why would you compromise that? Like, you wouldn't compromise the golden rule, being kind and respectful to others, treat people the way you want to be treated. So why would you compromise health when it's high stakes too, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm super fortunate. Like, Jeff's always been really active. um we feed off of each other, right? Like, he used to race motocross, so he had to be in good shape. He plays like rec hockey, and he still rides his dirt bike, and he likes anything very active, and he loves that we're getting our kids involved with it too. We might like different things, like he's running, but both of us, it was important that we lift weights, that we're active, that we're
Yeah.
outside, and that's like the glue that holds people together. What I must say though is, like, I wasn't vegan when he and I got together. We've been together 18 years. We've been married
Yeah.
for almost 11, but I was vegetarian and then pescatarian and then vegetarian again. But the thing about him is, even though he doesn't eat the way I eat, his core values aren't vegan. He has has pivoted. He's plant based at home. He's plant based a lot when we go out. We raise the kids vegan. He's chill about it. He grocery shops specifically for us. He knows what to do. It makes it a lot easier.
Yeah. You trained him well. To go grocery shopping and get vegan food.
Yeah, no, it's more like he felt forced into it, probably because I'm such like I am a hurricane. I am a strong gale wind. I will go through the valley and just take everything with me when I blow through. Yeah, but that's, I
Yeah.
don't know. He's a very strong-willed person too. He could easily push back, but like, that's his love language, and he
Yeah.
gets it. Even if he's not fully there. But yeah, it's tough when people are going through a transformation and they're getting pushback from their partner. I'm often like, that's when you have to push harder and just keep going. Just do your own thing and be
Yeah.
true to yourself.
Show them it's not a phase. I think that's the main part because the partner is always going to think, oh, it's a phase that she's going through. And then it's going to end at one point, especially if you've tried to lose weight a bunch of times. They'll
Yeah.
just be like, here's another, fat loss phase that they're going through. But if you actually stick through it and they're like, my mom was that because she did like Atkins, Maker's diets, keto, and I did all these things. And my dad was like, oh, another thing. And now she's been, fit vegan for 4 years. And my dad's like, okay, it's not a phase at this point, right? It's how she is now. So yeah, just stick out the phase basically. And the partner tends to be more supportive at that point if they're not already at the beginning.
One of the like I worked with a life coach who's also a yoga instructor, Donna Scopeland. She's really awesome here in the Okanagan, and I love that she was like, again, it's the winner's gonna win. It's back to that whole thing, like what you believe, what you think you're capable of, you will be, and a part of it is like your identity. And so if you just make being healthy or being vegan or eating plant-based or I'm a fit person, like you just start saying it, right? It's like it will come true. That is who you are. It's just part of your identity. And then again, it's non-negotiable and it's not a phase. So you just keep saying it. And like my thing is, I was like, accountability means I tell everybody. I'm running a half marathon. I'm vegan AF. Like this is just, then everybody knows this is what I'm about. Like I can't go back on it.
Yeah, no, you can't. Especially if wearing a shirt about it at a restaurant in public. Would love to ask you this last question because actually Ivy just came back and we're gonna go record. Talk about tacos earlier. We started making cooking videos on YouTube, and people have been loving them. So we're making a vegan Taco Tuesday type of recipe. So yeah, I'm excited to make it. I'm excited to eat it because I didn't have lunch today. So I'm excited to eat some delicious tacos. But I'd love to ask you this question. Again, you've been through different iterations of the program. We just launched, Fit Vegan Blueprint 2.0 at this point. What are some of the pieces of advice that you would give to people that are in the program or about to go into the program in order to be successful?
Ooh, okay. Number one, without even having to think about it a second further, it's like just surrender to it. Like if you're going to go in, just go all in. It might not be perfect all the time, but like, you know what you're doing. And I just would tell them, like, just listen, like be open to someone else dictating what you do because they know what they're doing. They are an expert. Like Maxim's an expert. Just listen. So that's my big thing. Like surrender and just go all in. The other thing is like when the going gets tough, like the tough get creative. So that's like fit your workouts in when you can. You may not even get 100% of your workout in, but at least you're trying. If you have to get creative with the food, like maybe you don't have all of the food items, or maybe you can't afford everything that's on the list, and you have to do like the little poor man's substitute, like that is okay. That kind of stuff, you can make it happen. And not every meal has to be perfect. It's okay. The amount of times I would just be like, oh, I didn't think about this, and what do I have time for? And I can do the wrap with the veggies and the hummus and a little bit of pepper, maybe I'll throw some paprika just to make it exciting. I can do that. It takes me 5 seconds. That's my go-to, right?
Yeah.
Or nothing tastes great. What's the one thing that I always want? And it's like this, like vermicelli noodle bowl with veggies and cilantro and lime. Yeah. I'd be like, fine, go to my default. So my big thing was just like, sometimes you have to be creative and then use this support. Like, don't lie to them. Don't try to make yourself sound more impressive than you are.
Yeah. Right? People lying on their check-in. I crushed my nutrition. You put on 5 pounds. I'm like, you didn't crush your nutrition. Something's off.
Yeah. Like be honest, because if you're not being honest in your check-ins in the program, you're not being honest with yourself. And how are you ever going to overcome your limitations to reach your goals? You're not. You have to be honest and humble about it. And it's okay to say that I'm not perfect at this moment, and then explore why. That's how you grow. That's how you grow and get better. And then like learn the foundation to be healthy. So those are my 3 big takeaways. I'm sure there's a lot more. I have a lot of wise little tidbits from being in the program, but those helped. And when people are in, okay, fine. A 4th thing, when people are in a tough spot or a dark spot, like you either jump into one of the live calls. That's the most ideal thing. Or at least watch some of the replays, like watch stuff that resonates. So again, you don't feel like this little island. Like, yes, you have the
Yeah.
support of the coaches. Yes, you have the group chat, but sometimes you need to like actually hear the inspirational words and the people also sharing that they're problem solving X, Y, and Z. Like build that community. It validates and it allows you, maybe you learn some tips and tricks to overcome things.
Yeah, we're like, I was thinking about that. I said watch the calls. I think we're over 500 calls recorded since I started recording them, which was only like I started recording them a few months after you started, like in the first time. So we've done a lot of group calls back there. There's me looking like a 12-year-old child in some of the first videos. It's pretty funny.
You still look pretty young.
But I look, yeah, but I went back to look at some of the videos and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you guys listened to me the way that I looked back then. I look
Confidence.
a little fuzzy hair. No, we got great transformation. So, I know what I'm doing. Our team knows what they're doing. That's why we're so good. I always like to ask this question to people that have been in the program. I feel like I know the answer, or else you would have came back 4 times. But was it worth it for you to do this, to invest in yourself and do this process 4 times?
Yeah, I would have paid more, but you were nice enough to not charge me an arm and a leg, But like, it's worth every penny, and yeah, I'm super grateful for it. And like I said before, it's a ripple effect. Like, look at all the people you've impacted just by having me be in the program, right? I get to have a really cool reach within my little family, within my extended family and friends, my patients, whoever listens to the podcast. I mean, yeah, but I don't do it for them. I do it for me. Like, that's the bottom line, is you have helped me be the best me. It sounds so corny, but it's so true. I'm the best me. Look at me. Hello, I'm 40. Like, thriving. I'm thriving. No one can see this right now because of the camera problem, but like, you saw what I
They
look
saw
like.
you in the previous clips. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I feel great. I look great. I am very happy. I am me right now, like peak me.
Yeah. Well, I'm really proud of you because again, you've done every single time you came in, you made no excuses, you did the work. When life was inconvenient, you were relentless, you were adaptable, you always find a way to get things done. That's why you got incredible transformations every single time. I just want to say I appreciate you taking the time to jump on the podcast with me. I think it might be one of the longest podcasts, probably like an hour and a half with some of the, probably like an hour and a half. So I hope you guys that are listening enjoyed the episode. Jade, massive thank you for jumping on the show, and I'm excited for us to meet at one point. Hopefully this year, we might do a LA workshop, just because it's nice to fly into LA. There's other stuff to do after you're done the workshop versus kind of going to another
Yes.
state. So, yeah, I'll keep you updated on that. But yeah, massive thank you for jumping on, and everyone, thank you very much for listening to the episode, and we'll see you all in the next one.
Thanks for having me. It means so much.